Hi, thank you for attending this virtual event organized by Word Up Community Bookshop. During this event, feel free to add comments in the chat panel, which you can access by clicking the chat button at the bottom of the screen. If you have questions, please click the Q&A button and then put the questions there just so they don't get lost. And if you're on Facebook, definitely comment right there and I'll bring them over to the Zoom room. If you don't know what Word Up is, we're a bookshop and art space run by local residents, many of whom are volunteers. We can be found at 2113 Amsterdam Avenue at the corner of 165th Street in Washington Heights. We host events for all ages and sell used and new books in English and Spanish. So check us out on our website, wordupbooks.com, where you can place orders and we'll get them shipped to you. Because we don't know when we'll open again to the public, we started a GoFundMe campaign to maintain our space and meet our obligations while we're closed. So I'll drop the link in the chat too. And I'm very excited to introduce Eric Vedder, who's the host of No Name, the comedy and storytelling series that's taken place at Word Up since August 2011 and has been a tireless contributor to Word Up since nearly the beginning, fostering the idea of an open stage each and every Tuesday night before the pandemic. Eric.
Hello. Hello, I've got a blank screen. Am I coming through?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, there we go. Technology. Hello. First of all, thank you, Carolina, and thank you, Word Up, for hosting this mess. We appreciate that more than you could know. What can I tell you? My name is Eric Vedder. This is my COVID beard. And I want to thank you guys for choosing to spend your Friday evening with us. Exactly 27 years ago, this very evening, the No Name Players did their very first performance. And 6 years in, we transitioned into a comedy variety show. And that has stayed our format ever since then. We present really talented folks and we encourage them to use this as a place where they can play and try out new things. We encourage you guys, the audience, always when we're doing live shows, to hang out afterwards and give us feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Please know that even tonight, we always understand how terribly important you are to the process and what we do, and we thank you for choosing to do that. It means more than you could ever know. Now, we have not done a live show almost since our 26th anniversary last year. Last year, about 2 weeks or so after our last anniversary show was our last show. And I feel like we cannot go forward without at least acknowledging some of what's happened since then. Part of our thing tonight is we've invited the exact same lineup back from our last anniversary show so that we can kind of check in with everyone, see how everyone is doing, and also to see some of their wonderful work. Now, since that last show, obviously a lot of people have struggled. It's been hard times, and we are, if nothing else, always family. And we need to acknowledge those struggles. And I want to specifically single out a few people. Our good friend Maggie Nuttall, who's a frequent guest, and especially so at our Word Up shows, early on in pandemic had some emergency brain surgery and a stroke. And she is presently rehabbing at a facility in Far Rockaway. So we're sending her love, and she's getting stronger every day, and it's a process, but she's getting there. We also want to acknowledge all of the people in our family who have been touched by COVID, their families, and particularly Richard Binder, who is with us tonight, and his wife Stacy, their family. Our stage manager tonight, Stupenda Stephanie. Steph is recently recovering from COVID. Our good friend Cindy, Super Duper Cindy, who is also a stage manager, and her husband Tommy, longtime friends of ours. Everyone in their family got it except for Cindy. So Super duper Cindy indeed. And lastly, I have to acknowledge our bass player from the Downtown Shows band, our very dear friend Fernando Morales Gonzalez. Um, we are without him tonight. And when we're able to do live shows again, we are going to do him up right and make lots of noise and celebrate him. But I think all of us who remember the man we affectionately called Dr. Sandman will always remember the kind soul who wore every possible death metal t-shirt while also carrying around a guitar case that had a stuffed tiger attached to it. So for everyone who struggled through this time, and for those of us who are still here to tell the story, tonight is for us to be together and share with each other again. All right, now, having said that, those of you who know about No Name and what we do know that we always, when possible, begin and end with some music. Our music guest at the last anniversary show with the musical duo Bindershoes. Now, because of the limitations of the Zoom format, we can't have Bindershoes together tonight. But what we can do is we can have Binder and Suze. So tonight, we're going to close with a song from Alex DeSuze, but we're going to start with a song from our very good friend, Richard Fender Binder.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be back with you even a little bit. It's wonderful to be a part of this evening. I'm going to open tonight with a rather grouchy Get Off My Lawn song about getting tattoos. For those of you who are inked, I'm not talking about you. Out of the way right away. All right, so here we go. This is called Tattoos Blues. I got the tattoos blues, the tattoos blues. I should have thought things through first. My tattoos are blue. I got the tattoos blues, but hey, I got no regrets. So, you're feeling creative and a bit illustrative and wondering just what to do? Well, march yourself down to the parlor around the next corner and get a tattoo. Your options are endless. Just have the apprentice show his previous work. Get yourself an eye popper, a real job stopper. Sit down in the chair, you poor jerk. For a scratcher with talent, the rainbow's your palette. Any color or shade, any hue. And until you are dead, your art will turn heads and eventually also turn blue. I got the tattoos blues, the tattoos blues. I should have thought things through first. My tattoos are blue, I got the tattoos blues, but hey, I got no regrets. Get an armband that's tribal, but remember it's final, or a yin or a yang on your wrist. Maybe a stamp on the small of your back, or true love, a hard luck on your fist. Full sleeve or just ankled, or fully star-spangled with the flag bursting out from your hide. Or in some kind of cursive that's vaguely subversive, get the date that your great uncle died. Get Sabbath, or Slayer, or the lines from a prayer, or your telephone area code. A tear by your eye and make it look like you're crying about spider webs on your... Get the names of old lovers entirely covered with a badly drawn sketch of your kids. Or get a shamrock Fitzkelly, or your hood cross your belly in Gothic illegible script. Get a character, Asian, mistakenly blazing a message that ain't what you think. Because the artist swore it meant knowledge, but it really says olives forever in permanent ink. I got the tattoos blues, the tattoos blues. I should have thought things through first. My tattoos are blue, I got the tattoos blues, but hey, I got no regrets. Well, if you're still thinking you really need inking, just be sure what it is that they're selling. Because with it, you're stuck and you're plumb out of luck if they don't get it right with the spelling. Because it's R before E, except after 3 in the morning and you picked the wrong artist. If he's open that late, the chances are great you were drunk and he wasn't the smartest. Giving your future to this ignorant butcher, so when he's curved you up with the gun, send a few words to heaven, take a deep breath, and then look in the mirror when he's done. Because the needle, it stings. But I'll tell you the thing that over the years really hurts. When you go to view your brand new tattoo, and to your horror, it says, no regrets. One more time, I got the tattoos blues, the tattoos blues. I should have thought things through first. My tattoos are blue, I got the tattoos blues, but hey, I got no regrets. Thank you very much.
Yay! Let's hear it for Richard Bender. Yeah! It's weird to hear the sound of only me applauding, and yet that's pretty much like the average no-name show. So I got no regrets. Once again, in your homes, give it up for Richard Bender. And we'll hear the other half of Bender Shoes later. All right, our first non-musical guest is a very dear friend of ours. He's been with us almost since the beginning. We're 27 years old, and he joined us somewhere midway through the first year. A very funny man and a wonderful magician, Lee Allen Barrett.
Woohoo! Hello, everybody. Hello, Eric. Hold on a second.
Hello.
Someone's asked me to start my video. I believe I have, so we are good. How you guys doing? Welcome to the anniversary show. Sorry, I'm drinking a little coffee. I'm not used to being up this late. Usually I'm asleep by 7 o'clock these days. You'll bring the devil, but there you go. Yeah, I started a No Name when Eric was doing it as a sketch show, and I went to an audition. Who knew it would bring me here tonight? My own apartment. Who knew? Oh, the travels. Sorry, like I said, I need a little caffeine at this time of night. It's not bad. It's donut flavored, actually. They do that at Starbucks. It's it gives a bit of an aftertaste. Hold on. Oh, yeah, a bit of an aftertaste. But it's not bad. It's really not bad. You know, Eric was the first place I started trying magic out. And I'm still trying it. Yeah, we were doing the sketches. He'd let me do try out a little bit of magic on the stage. And I always appreciated that, even though sometimes if we're an audience of 3. But you know what? That never really changed much, did it, over the years? Yeah, I feel like I'm still doing an audience of 3 sometimes. I want to show you guys a little something. You know, people wonder if when you do magic for a living, they say, well, that's great. You must love your job all the time. Not all the time. Sometimes it's sort of a love-hate relationship. Unlike my marriage, which was a hate-hate relationship. But why get into that? I'll save that for the therapist. Because sometimes there's a trick I'd love to do, but there's also something about it I kind of hate. And this is one of those. This is something I've been working on since we've gone into pandemic. I love this trick, but I also kind of hate it. And I'll explain why. It starts out with a little expensive little red silk kit. And all I have to do is just, put a knot into it. Why not? I mean, yeah. And there we go. That's a little knot right there. And what I love about this, I can take that little knot, just give it a pull. And it just comes right off the silk. I love that. I love it so much. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. Tie that knot around there like this. And again, like I said, it's a sort of a love-hate relationship. And then here's the love part. And I'll explain the hate in a moment. And there's another little knot. And all I gotta do is just give a little, oh, there we go. A little tug, and it comes right out just like that. Just like that. Last time. And again, this is just something I gotta admit, when I do it, I love doing it so much. Because I don't have to do anything more than just give it a pull, and that knot comes right off. Yeah. But here's the hate part. Every time I do this trick, I have to go out and buy a new red silk, because this one always ends up with some holes in it. Yeah. And these things are not cheap, let me tell you. That's what I hate about it. Yeah, well, I like to do magic, especially these days on Zoom. I like to do things that I can just pull out of a pocket, do in front of the camera, you know, little things like this with a coin. I like this particular little bit of magic because it's just using one coin. I love that. It's so simple, so easy, uncomplicated. A lot of people, when they find out I do coin magic, will say, can you do that trick where you pull a coin from behind someone's ear? And I say, sure, I can do that. You know, it's like the first thing you learn. But you don't do that these days, not with the pandemic, because you don't want to. So what I do instead, I do ear from behind the coin. Hey, one person laughed. I'll take that. I'll take it and I'll run with it. Yes, just the one coin. And all I'm going to do is watch carefully here. Let's see if I can get this. It's a little harder with a bigger coin. Watch carefully. It is not a magic trick. This is how you waste 2 years of your life there. Right there. That's 2 years wasted right there. Another 2 years for the other hand, ladies and gentlemen. That's another 2 years. That's 4 years gone. Or as I like to refer to the BA in theater my parents paid for. Thank you so much. Now watch carefully. What I like to do, let's see this up a little bit. I also like the fact I get to do the show tonight because that means I got to dress up and put on pants. Anytime I have an excuse to put on pants, I do it these days. Let me tell you. It's the little things I love. All right, so I'm going to take this coin. I'm going to place it under the handkerchief. Now, let me tell you something about this trick. I like to give people a heads up that at the end of this particular piece of magic, this coin will disappear. So if I place it under the handkerchief, people think, well, that's going to disappear right now. No, because we're at the beginning of the trick. And I said it's going to disappear at the end. So what I'll do is I'll place it back under the handkerchief. And all I have to do, watch carefully, give it a little tug, and it melts right through. Here's the second part. I like to do the second part because a lot of people seem to think, well, maybe he has a hole in that handkerchief. That's how he did the first part. No hole. So what I do is I place the coin there, I leave it there, because if there was a hole there, that coin would stick right through and you'd see it. No hole. And since the coin is still there, I'm not done yet. No sirree, Bob. So what you can do, take the coin there. All I got to do is just another little rub. Yeah. Comes right through. Here's the last part, and this is the part I gave you a heads up on. It's going to disappear. I'm going to place this coin back under the handkerchief, and I'm going to leave it there for the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And it vanishes just like that. Now, honestly, I like that ending, but most people don't because no one likes when money disappears. So I like to do my bigger, better ending for people if that's okay. So watch carefully, please. Watch my hand. That's my bigger, better ending. There you go. Thank you. I'll leave this out on the table. There you go. I think I got another time for about, what, 5 more tricks, Eric? Is that right? No, I'm gonna do that to you guys. Let's see. Okay, yeah, there we go. I'm going to do one more for you guys. You know, a lot of times when people ask me, there's a lot of questions you get from magic. One of them is, what type of magic do you do? Do you do kids' parties? I'm like, yeah, of course I do. Do you do card tricks? Yeah. Do you do big illusions? I no, I mean, I have respect for those guys on the stages of like Las Vegas and places like that where they do these huge illusions. But I don't do that because they're rather large, big, cumbersome, and expensive. So I want to do for you guys an illusion that doesn't cost me so much money, and it's easy to carry around with me. I want to teach you a little bit about the illusion of truth, and do that by using these pieces of rope. Now, first off, I have this piece of rope here, which is rather long. I'd say it's about as long as my leg. Yeah. Second piece, say about as long as my arm. Yeah. And the third and final piece, as long as my appendix. I've had it measured. This is the length. So watch, okay, we're going to take these 3 pieces of rope, all different lengths. Keep that in mind. They are all different lengths, long, medium, and short. We take the short one, take the medium one, take the long one. That's not the illusion. In fact, if you were to count, I'd have 3 ropes, 6 ends. That's not the illusion of truth. The illusion of truth is this. Now this is a real scientific principle. That's what I like about this. If I were to tell you right now that these 3 pieces of rope were the exact same size, all 3 the exact same size, well, you wouldn't believe me. Of course not. You saw how long they were. I showed you. You're like, I saw with my own eye. That's a lie. It's true. But the illusion of truth is a scientific principle where if you say something that's untrue, if you say a lie over and over again enough into someone's brain, it sticks. And so at one point when I say, look, these 3 ropes are the exact same size, your brain goes, wait, that sounds familiar. Where have I heard that before? I think he's right. I think these ropes are all the exact same size. And that's called the illusion of truth. Well, here, let me show you what I mean. Hold on a second. So again, 3 ropes, 3 different sizes. If I kept telling you that same thing over and over again, they are the exact same size, the exact same size, the exact same size. At one point, your brain will believe that because you've heard that statement over and over again so many times, it sticks in your mind. It sticks in your mind. And you believe it, even though it's not true. Even though you're like, no, that can't be, but you think, wait, maybe it is true. Maybe all those ropes, all those 3 pieces of rope were exactly the same size. That's the illusion of truth. Because as many times as I can tell you that, say that statement to you, the fact of the matter is, these ropes were 3 different sizes. 3 totally different sizes. 1 piece as long as my leg, 1 piece as long as my arm, and 1 piece as long as my appendix. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. I hope you've enjoyed my little small portion of the show. I'm glad I could be a part of it. I've always been glad I could be a part of No Name. I've known Eric for a very, very long time. He's always been a good friend and a really good supporter of me and many people like me, people desperate for attention. So again, I want to say thank you, Eric, for doing this and bring us all together. I'm going to throw it back. I believe I'm throwing it back to Eric, right? Throwing it back to you, Eric. For those watching, stay tuned. There's a lot more stuff to see. You're going to love it. Thank you.
All right. Once again, in your home, big applause for Lee Allen Barrett. Yay, Lee!
Woo-hoo!
And now that he's mentioned his desperate need for attention, I feel bad that I wasn't watching. Oh well, I'll catch him next time. Lee Allen Barrett. All right, moving right along. Coming up here, woman is not only very special to No Name, but she is also very special to our shows at Word Up. She has helped us create the monthly, in non-pandemic times, the monthly Super Story Party edition. She's brought some of the best storytellers, not only from New York, but nationally, to our little bookshop up in Washington Heights. And when we're able to do it again, please make the time to come by. You'll see some good stuff. I present to you the author of the wonderful memoir, Fish Out of Agua, the one, the only, Michelle Carlo.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Yay! I wasn't sure. This is so crazy because it's like almost exactly a year ago, Eric, since we performed together. Because the last Super Story Party was the first Tuesday in March. Oh my God, this is crazy. It's like almost like full tilt coño carajo or something. Oh, that's what I call it. I call COVID coño carajo because it's like coño carajo, when is it going to be over? Coño carajo, when can I go outside? Coño carajo, when am I going to get this vaccine? Coño carajo, coño carajo, coño carajo. Anyway, as you could tell, I am a Latina or Latinx or New Yorican. Look at my flag. There we go. Anyway, so actually a bit of a COVID story. It happened last year because, why not? This thing is not done yet. And anyway, it was the middle of last summer and I wasn't going out much. Oh, not just because of coño carajo, but because I had busted my ankle. And with the cast they gave me, that big ankle boot, even though it was kind of a walking boot, I still was under strict orders not to navigate the 2 flights up to my apartment for 6 full weeks. So it's a little 1-bedroom apartment and it's me and my 2 cats. And the cats, they don't talk much. It's like, you know, so like I am dying for conversation. So, you know, for want of something to do, I start, oh, and by the way, hey, I got laid off from my job. So, you know, so there we go. So it's like, no work, nothing, broken, nothing. So, you know, for want of something to do, I was like going, you know, like, oh, so stir crazy. I started looking out the window, you know, the front window to the street. But that was kind of like unsatisfying because like the only people I saw were the delivery people. And like, I live in a neighborhood that I like to call Privilege Slope, Brooklyn. And I moved there 30 years ago when, believe me, the neighborhood was full of Puerto Ricans. Now I'm one of the 3 left. But like, I was like stunned, like how many people were getting deliveries and stuff. So that's not really interesting. And after that, I kind of felt a little guilty. I kind of felt like one of those comadres, those people. I grew up in the Bronx, and that's what they called the old ladies that watched you behind the windows, from like behind the curtains, or like, you know, under the Venetian blind or whatever. They'd be there with their cigarette, and they knew everything that happened on the block. They knew who smoked cigarettes. They knew who drank beer. They knew who was cheating on their boyfriend. They knew everything, and they was so happy to tell your parents about it all the time. And I hated them. I was like, no, I don't want to be a bochinchera. I saw it like, no, I'm not looking at the front window anymore. So I started looking out the back window, and the back window faces the backyards. Now that was interesting because there was like wildlife out there. It was kind of like a COVID, a pandemic reduced vision of Wild Kingdom, because there were feral cats. And sometimes people let the dogs out, and there were raccoons and squirrels and the occasional possum with they got horrible tails, man. They ugly. And like lots and lots of birds. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, and me and my cats would look out the window at what we couldn't go out and find, and what we couldn't catch, and what we couldn't like lay in the grass. And then I started being jealous of all the people with their backyards. And then I figured, well, maybe this is not good either. So I didn't know what to do. And then one day, I noticed when I went to look out the window, there was a spider web. I mean, like an actual spider web being built right on the other side of the screen by this big brown spider. And trust me, at this point in the summer, at this point in my life, this was fascinating. And oh my God, I just stood there. I was like, okay, you know that word transfixed? Yes. I was like on that window, watching her build this web. And it was really intricate and really beautiful. And it reminded me of like when my abuela used to like do all the crocheting for like the endless baby booties and baby blankets and little baby bonnets for people in my family. I mean, it was just like this otherworldly, beautiful, intricate thing that sparkled, and it was there. And like the next day, and I started like going out there and watching the spider. She was like hanging. I named her I named her Charlotte, of course, because I grew up on Charlotte's Web. So of course I was going to call her Charlotte. So I would just go and check her out every day. And I would say good morning to her in the morning. And I would, when I passed by, I would check in on her. And then I would actually even say good night to her. And then one night I shut off all the lights because I saw that she had caught a big fat beetle. Now I live in the 3rd floor, so I don't know how the hell this beetle got stuck in the web, but she caught this beetle, and I shut off all the lights so I could see it better. And it was like again, fascinating. You know that part in the Lord of the Rings when the orcs, when Shelob catches Frodo and spins like this white cloud around him. It was kind of like that. It was amazing. And like I watched her, and then she took out her stinger and she went, and like the beetle stopped trembling, and I was like, whoa, I witnessed something here. And I swore that Charlotte looked at me with those little red eyes and that we had some kind of an understanding. But the next morning, Charlotte was missing, but her dinner was still there. And a couple of hours later, I found out why she had gone, because that was the day of that huge storm. I don't know if you remember that big like nor'easter wind rainstorm last summer. I mean, it was crazy. The wind was like 60 miles an hour and trees were breaking. Actually, a tree ended up dying in the backyard because the wind just like tore it apart. And the wind was howling and the rain was falling. But I was watching the web still hitting. This web is going. And what Charlotte caught, that beetle was still twisting around. And I was like, whoa, how could that be? How could like a little spider make something so strong that like it broke the tree in the backyard across the way? I couldn't believe it. And then, you know, that devil's wind finally stopped. And I had gone off to do something else. And when I came back to the window, it was still light out, but the dinner was gone. And so was half the web. And I thought that she blew away too. But when after dark, I went to check on it one more time and I saw her there. She was sitting, like repairing the web, and she was right where the catch had been. And I tried taking a picture, but my phone really sucks. And it didn't work out right. And so I turned off all the lights again, and I just stood there with her for a while, watching her. And I told her I was sorry. I was sorry that she lost her dinner, that she worked so hard for. And I told her there'd be other bugs to come. And don't worry, tomorrow the sun will come out. It's a new day, Charlotte. And then I went to bed. But when I woke up in the morning, Charlotte and her web were both gone. And I missed her. I missed her. I wish I had been able to take a picture, but my phone camera sucks. But I don't know, maybe it's better this way. Because, you know, for the next 2 weeks until I got that cast off, I could see Charlotte in my mind, and it comforted me. Only that comfort kind of scared me a little because, dude, she was a spider. But I guess in 2020 pandemic summer, the year of suck, coño carajo, it meant I considered her my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Michelle Carlo, kids. Michelle Carlo in your apartment again. Yay, standing ovation. Yay. Oh, man. This technology is so weird to me. I am trying to act like I'm an old pro. There we go. I see myself. Well, my apologies to everyone else who sees me. Once again, Michelle Carlo. Yay. Our next guest is also a longtime friend of No Name. And I first met him when he was this hot young comic touring and doing amazing things. And since then, he's done so many interesting things. He's become a playwright and producer of documentaries, and everything he does is interesting to me, and really glad he could join us. Please say hello to our good friend, Aladdin Ullah.
All right, how's everybody? From common basis to Zoom, we've come a long way. Common basis. I don't know who's in the audience. I know I tell the story often, but you know how you have that friend that when you see him, you just start laughing? I don't care where we are. Whenever I see Eric, I just start laughing because my very first experience with Eric is it's like a new piece I'm working on. And Eric doesn't know that he's in this thing. And in our documentary and in panels that I've been speaking to, because we've been promoting this film that I'm working on, and we've done private screenings. And whenever I talk about the early times of stand-up, people think I'm making it up. This is actually a true story. Nothing is embellished. This piece is called Stand Up, and it's all true. When I was 17, I'm laughing. When I was 17 years old, I graduated from high school, and my mother was like, "You're going to college. I leave Bangladesh so that my son, my American boy," I was the only one in my family born in America. And, my mom was like, "You are going to be a doctor and engineer." So right around the time we lived in the projects, cable came to the projects, and I had seen George Carlin, and he did a bit that changed my life, where he was like, religion, and he had this whole piece about religion actually convinces you that there's a visible man in the sky, and the invisible man has a list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these things, there's a special place full of fire and burning where he will send you to live and suffer and die forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you. He really loves you, and he needs money. When I saw that, I said, "Ma, forget about being a doctor or engineer. I want to do that. And her exact words after that is, get out of my house, you bum. So about a week later, I got an apartment on 112th Street. I'm 18 years old. And it was no great bachelor pad. The mice had relay races in the house. The roaches were swan diving off the kitchen sink. The water was never running, and the super was nowhere to be found. Now, some people say it was a dump, but I didn't care. For me, it was utopia, paradise, heaven. Now, I was free to pursue my dream, according to my mom, but I just wasn't exactly really sure how to become a comedian. There's no manual, there's no book, because back in the day, in the early 90s, no one was really writing a whole lot of books. There was no internet, there was nothing. All I had was the yellow pages, you know, that thing before Google. And I looked in the yellow pages for the nearest comedy club, and I lived in East Harlem, and the nearest comedy club was on 82nd Street. And right before I went to the yellow pages, I went to Washington Square Park, and there was a comedian named Rick Aviles who had worked the crowd, and he was Puerto Rican. He was amazing. And I said, excuse me, sir, how do you become a comedian? He said, look, go to Comic Strip. They do lotteries. Don't bother me. So I picked up the yellow pages, and I went through the comedy clubs, and it said Comic Strip, 81st Street. So I actually picked up the phone. I called up the Comic Strip, and I said, excuse me, sir, how do I become a comedian? Yeah, kid. You want to be a comedian? We got a lottery for you. Amateur night every Monday. You come down, we give you a number, you sign up. Okay, you got it? Good luck with your dream. So I went down and got a spot the following week. Now, I went home and I wrote, but nothing was coming out funny. I was like, shit, this is difficult. So I went to check out the other comedy clubs to just see how the comedians were performing. And in these open mics, which I didn't even know what an open mic was, I just sat there really nervous and was watching them. Everyone that was going on in the black comedy clubs, they were getting booed. And I saw a few comedians crying. And this was just an open mic. So finally, 2 weeks later on a Monday, I got my big break at the Comic Strip. You know, my open mic, my first performance as a comedian. And when I got on stage, I was really nervous. You know, the MC introduced me, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Aladdin. And so when I got the microphone, the lights came on. I couldn't see anything, and I turned it to Porky Pig. And hello, wow, hi, it's me. Wow, it's so dark out there. So where's everybody from? Is this thing on? I wasn't prepared, so I bombed. I didn't even finish my set. I put the mic on the mic stand, and I walked out the club. Now I didn't know what to talk about. So I started writing new material, but I was 18 years old. I didn't know what to say. So I wrote about what was happening to me. And I went back on stage to another open mic. Please welcome Aladdin. Hi, everybody. I went shopping and I noticed microwavable scrambled eggs. Microwavable scrambled eggs? Microwavable scrambled eggs. Is this thing on? I put the mic back on the mic stand. I came home to an empty apartment with empty results. I was scared, and it was showing on stage. The mice and the roaches were laughing at me. Comedy is so difficult. So after a few weeks, I went to go see an older comedian, Paul Mooney, who was Richard Pryor's writer. And after the show, I was like almost in tears. I was like, Mr. Mooney, how do you do that? I want to do that. How do you do that? I don't understand how you do that. When I go home, the mice and roaches are laughing at me. How do you write like this? And he said, let me see your material. So I gave him some sheets of my material. And he read it. He's like, well, you got a good premise, but you got to be more self-deprecating. Just find the ending, for God's sakes. So I tried. I went back for the next 6 months at every open mic. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Aladdin. I went to the supermarket, and there was an item that caught my eye. Microwavable scrambled eggs. You got to be one worthless, procrastinating, worthless human being to buy microwavable scrambled eggs. So I bought them. I got my first chuckles, my very first laughs. And afterwards, they were perfect strangers congratulating me while I smiled, shook hands, and said thanks. It felt great. This is what a comedian experience is. When strangers you don't know laugh at jokes you've worked forever on. Now, other comedians would invite other friends and family, while I just went to these clubs by myself. When they would introduce these other comedians, the crowd would applaud. And when I was introduced, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Aladdin, you could hear a pin drop. I had no one in the audience, and it hurt like hell. But the funnier I got, the more this hurt disappeared. I got addicted to the approval of strangers because this is all I had going for me, all I had left. Now, I told my brother, don't ever, ever tell mommy where I'm performing. Never. I don't care where. Just don't tell her where I'm performing. So I did every open mic in New York. And the great thing about Eric's show is that you felt like it was a community. Because sometimes when you're performing, you feel really alone, as you can see from the story I'm telling you. So when Eric would say, hey, come on by, you felt like you were with your boys. Like this was people that you understood. But I did every open mic in New York. And I couldn't get into the showcase clubs, the big ones, the Comic Strip, the Comedy Cellar. Because back in the day, the showcase clubs, like the Comic Strip, would put comedians of color on once a month on novelty nights, like African American night, Latino night, Hermaphrodite night, Eskimo night, midget night, etc., etc. We were given one night a month, but we couldn't get on the 29 other white nights. So one day I saw my hero, George Carlin. He was talking at the 92nd Street Y. And I went up to George after the show. I said, George, you know, I do every open mic in New York and I can't get on. And I was expecting like a lesson on comedy. And his response was, fuck the Comic Strip. You don't need any club. Do it yourself. Just go deeper with your material and be on the side of the oppressed, not the oppressor. Make fun of the stereotype and don't become one. So back in the 90s, Eric was doing the show. There were other people doing the show, and I started a show. We were part of this movement where we weren't relying on clubs. We were trying to get our own stage time by creating our own community. So the difficult thing was, it was hard getting an actual place. As you know, Eric got Common Basis Theater, Otto Shrunken Head. So I was looking all over trying to get a club, and I found a club that gave us 6 weeks. And it was at Don't Tell Mama on Restaurant. Now, if you don't know, Don't Tell Mama is on 46th Street. And many nights, you know, and I love the atmosphere there. All the people who performed there were singers, musicians, comedians. The LGBT community was welcome. It's where the manager, Sidney Meyer, said, Aladdin, this is the safest place to discover yourself. And remember, you don't have to tell mama. I was like, yo, Sidney, I ain't never telling my mama about this place. So I started a show that was called Colorblind, where multi-ethnic comedians could do whatever they want. They could do social, political material. I wanted them to have the space where they could feel free. So one night, when I was on stage performing, the waiters were dressed as characters from The Wizard of Oz. And many of the waiters were dressed as Dorothy. The men were just cross-dressing as Dorothy. And when I was on stage, I heard someone in the back go, I am looking for my son. Waiter, waiter. Is my son allowed me? I am looking for him. Excuse me, are you a man or a woman? Are those your breasts? Hare Allah. What are you doing? What kind of place is this? Where's my son? What is doing here? So I saw my mother and my brother walking out. So I finished my set. So I go outside on the corner of 46th Street. I said, Mama, did you see me perform? She turns around, she says, Aladdin, you think I left my village in Bangladesh so that my son could be performing for the gay? You could have been a doctor or an engineer. You are wasting your life in America. She walked away, but I knew she was wrong. You see, all the comedians that I hung out with, we all loved what we were doing. Our family members didn't get what we were doing, but we knew what we were doing because we loved what we were doing. And so I realized that my mom didn't have the power over me anymore. I was falling in love with this new girlfriend called stand-up. It was unconditional. It was never going to leave me. And so this is the thing that I wanted to leave you guys with, is that what Eric created and what we were creating was a world where we could be free and fall in love with the thing that we love. And even though we clown around and got war stories about back in the day, the like this welcome comedians who had open mics where we didn't feel like freaks, but we felt like we were part of a family. And that's what I want to share with you guys. Thank you.
Oh man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Alaudin Yula. Once again, in your homes, you're by yourself, it doesn't matter. Wake the kids, call the neighbors, get the pets involved. Alaudin Yula. And thank you for choosing to be a part of the family, Alaudin. All right, our last scheduled guest. I don't know if I've ever told you this, Leanne, but I always considered it a major thing for us the first time you agreed to do our show. I knew you from doing other shows and what have you, but our next guest was the first guest that we had that I'm aware of, or that I was aware of at the time, that was that was making her entire living at stand-up, and it just made me feel like, wow, okay, it can be done, and was always an example to the rest of us, I think, about work ethic and just using your talents and getting out there. And thank you, as always, for sharing with us as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Leanne Lord.
Wow. Eric, thank you so much. I've so been enjoying this stroll down memory lane. Oh my goodness. Aladdin, I remember Colorblind so well. That was back in the day. And I of course we all have something in common. I fell in love with a boyfriend called stand-up comedy. Occasionally it cheats on me with other comics, but I understand. I try to understand. But Eric, I love doing your room because you can't get good at this in your room, no matter where it was. I feel I was there in all incarnations, but you can't get good at this without doing this. Even in this format, even doing it virtually, you gotta be in it to win it. It's always that case. But I thank you for, having me here. This has been, I know, trying times for everybody. I'm glad we could finally gather here. I've been working from home, doing virtual shows since March. And I got to tell you guys, the walk from the bedroom to the kitchen is just not as scenic as it used to be. So I tried to mix things up a little bit. I painted Black Lives Matter in the hallway here for me and my cat. And yeah, no, he approves, because he's a black cat. And if anybody doesn't find that joke funny, that's because you don't like cats, right? I do have a cat. I do have a cat now, and he's amazing. He's a cuddler, which is wonderful. I just never imagined that at this point in my life that I'd be the big spoon. I didn't see that coming at all. People ask me, though, they ask me, what kind of cat do I have? I'm like, black. That's a breed when it comes to cats. So I have a black cat. It's almost why I named him Barack Denzel Idris Obama. But instead I just call him Sir, which is short for To Sir with Love. It's also short for what are you doing, sir? Get down from there, sir. Please stop biting me, sir. But and listen, I whether you have a cat or a dog, I've always believed that the world would be a better place if we all treated each other half as good as we treated our pets. Right? Because I would be in heaven if every day somebody rubbed me on my tummy and said, "Who's the best girl in the whole world?" A lot less war if we did that, everybody. Just saying. But I love that we as humans have found a way to still connect during the pandemic, that we're doing this virtually. I will admit, though, that I'm looking forward to the time when we can gather again together in person. Okay, because I miss that. I've performed in all 50 states. And We don't need all 50. Like I think we'd be good if we got back down to our colonial weight. You know, it'd be like losing that last 5-10 pounds. You start feeling good about yourself, you know. And maybe I'm biased. I think New York would get in still, you know, it's an OG state. Everybody else, I'm gonna need to see a resume. On a credit check. But yeah, so I've been working from home. I've been eating too much. I've been watching way too much TV. I saw Aquaman, and I'm confused because somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true, maybe you guys can let me know. Somebody told me that Aquaman had a plot. I don't remember that. I just, Jason Momoa came on screen 2 hours and 22 minutes later. I knew how to swim. So watching too much. I actually kind of prefer watching Marvel movies, and it's weird because I didn't read, I've never read the comic books, so whenever I see the movies, it's a bit of a surprise for me, right? Like I saw Captain America Civil War, which spoiler alert, not about the Civil War. I thought it was going to be an alternate timeline, you know, with superheroes freeing slaves, you know, racism, Hulk smash, you know, that's not what happened at all, everybody. And it seems like a natural. So I'm writing that screenplay now, and I'm going to call it Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter Part 2. If there's a movie that cries out for a part 2, it is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Yeah, that's the founding father we all need to know and love. But I of course it's Black History Month, so I'll be getting in my cultural movies. I saw Hidden Figures again, and man, that movie makes me feel so proud and so stupid at the same time. Like, these chicks are doing high level math with no calculator. I'm struggling to remember phone numbers. Okay, like I only know 2. I know my parents and the police. Okay, like 911, what is your emergency? I can't find my parents. Like, that's all I got. I will say though that as much as I love Hidden Figures, these are not the women you want to go to brunch with. Okay, because you know, when the bill comes, they know exactly how much everybody's supposed to put in. Right? You put down $20. They be looking at you like, come on, sis. You be like, okay, you got me, Rocket Girl. Here's another 20. I'll tell you the movie I saw again that really moved me was Harriet, the movie about Harriet Tubman. And I thought I knew her story, but there was more to it, right? Like, I remember I got to the part of the movie, you know, where she escapes. She's free. She goes back home a year later to rescue her husband and finds out that he is already married to another woman. Y'all. I'm like, if that could happen to Harriet Tubman, that could happen to me. Right? I leave, I come back. He's talking about, baby, I didn't know where you went. I didn't know how long you'd be gone. Sir, I went to work. I left this morning. And I'm working from home. You didn't see me sit in the living room. You didn't see me. Me and the cat been here all day. Oh man, but listen, if you want to see me again, you know, if you guys have never seen me before, this is the start of our relationship. It's gonna be beautiful. I invite you to visit my website. It's veryfunnylady.com, and that's never a declaration. That's always an aspiration. Because if you find If you found what I shared with you tonight and you enjoyed it, yeah, I'm Very Funny Lady Leanne Lord. If you have not enjoyed me this evening, my name is Jada Pinkett Smith. Thank you, Eric. Always thank you for letting me come and play. This is what this has always been about, and I'm just glad to be here in this form. Thank you.
Oh man, thank you, Leanne Lord, in your homes wherever you are. Round of applause for Leanne Lord. Yeah.
Yay!
Now, I have to tell you while I'm waiting for the screen. There we go. I'm back. I have to tell you, I am going to go back to the Facebook Live thing, or I'm going to find this, because I need to go back and freeze frame and blow up so I can see what books were actually behind you. So in that background, I need to know.
It's a virtual background. No stress. Easy breezy.
But so you're not a cat. No. Joke for the people who saw that last week. Anyway, now actually, I'm going to bring on a moderator in a minute, but I'm gonna dealing with this format. I have to ask, Carolina, is this thing gonna shut off automatically at 8:30, or if we go over that time, or we?
You can keep going.
I need to know if we can. Okay. Well, in that case, pull up a chair and get a beverage. It's gonna be no. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. I just wanted to know if I was putting my man into a challenging spot. I'm going to turn it over now. I said we kind of wanted to touch base with folks and see how they were doing. This gentleman actually led a panel discussion at our last anniversary show. And he's agreed to do that again. It's a little bit different this year. Very funny gentleman in his own right, and we thank him for taking the time to spend with us. Please say hello to our good friend, Mike Scroy.
Come on. Better? Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, I had to take off my headphones. If I go out again, let me know, and we will blame Elon Musk or somebody on this.
Why not?
Somebody like that. I was trying to say that it just feels like it wasn't even a year ago that we were at QED doing the live show, and that was a blast where we had a bunch into that little corner of the stage, and somehow about 8 of us fit on stage together, which was a lot of fun. But I met Eric through doing No Name, and I got to interview him. I was working with a website called americascomedy.com, which went on to become Comedy Spot Nation. And unfortunately, the site is defunct, but I got to meet Eric. I got to meet Leanne that way. And everybody here I got to meet more or less through doing shows at Word Up and No Name. So I appreciate you letting me be a part of this and moderating the panel. So I think what we'll do is I'll go through each performer one at a time briefly, and just everybody can kind of catch us up on what they've been doing in the past year, the highs and lows, or whatever you want to talk about, and we'll do a whole group discussion. So I guess it would be okay if Lee and Aladdin and Leanne and Michelle turn their cameras on. There you go. And I'll just go in order. We'll start with Lee, and just what have you been doing and I'll go through each person. We'll do the group thing, as I said. So Lee, how have you been this past year? What have you been up to? How have you been able to perform magic or not been able to perform? How has the year been?
I've been doing a lot of napping.
Okay. Isn't it great?
At first I wasn't, practicing, and then I become real natural at it. It's amazing. When this all started, actually I lost a lot of my work.
Ooh.
Because I was working at a restaurant and I was teaching after school programs. I was doing stuff live audiences. So of course, everything went away. So again, I did a lot of napping in the beginning. But since a friend of mine started doing a virtual magic show on Saturdays, and we've been doing it since April last year. And that was a way. We don't really get much of an audience. But it's a way to at least keep in contact with some of the people that I've been working with and working and practicing some stuff, just old stuff and new stuff, keeping my hand in it. And some other friends of mine, we do like a magic book club, if you will, on Sundays. So I get to hang out with them a little bit. And those little Zoom get-togethers help keep my sanity. What little I have. Yeah. And but for work, unemployment, of course, but I've been teaching a lot now, after school programs on Zoom, teaching magic to kids.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah. There's about 3 different programs I'm working with. 2 of them deal with schools here in New York. I live in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
It's like New York, but it smells different, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, I live well. It's got its own scent. It does.
Yeah, it's interesting. So a couple of schools in New York, they have an after-school program. One of them is actually some of the kids are in the classroom, and through Zoom, I teach them. Some of these kids I'm teaching at home because they're learning at home. Another program I'm doing is actually through FAO Schwartz, the toy store. Oh. They started a Zoom program for things. Well, they call it the Academy of Wonder. Ooh. And what it is you'll go on their website and you can purchase through the Academy of Wonder. You can either purchase some science kits or magic kits, and then you sign up for a Zoom class. So when they do the magic kits, the kids buy the kits, the parents sign them up, and then we schedule it. So I will, in the store, we do the teaching. We set up using computers like these and smartphones and ring lights and so forth. They set us up in a little space in the store. So I will teach, if we're doing a magic class, I will teach a magic class to kids using the kit that they purchased. And I'm also there when they do the science kits. I also help out. We're sort of like our 3-person kind of production team there. So when they're doing the science class, I help out with little bits and pieces. If they're doing the magic class, I teach, they help out with little bits and pieces. So that's one thing. It's not regular work. Why should it be? But it is a little bit extra money coming in, which does help. And it also keeps me, as I think I joked about, a reason to put pants on in the morning. And that's one of them, because I'll have to go into the city to do these things. So, it forces me out of the house, and I can see people I know and hang out with them and do something I'm good at, which is always good, and get a little bit of money on it, which is always a nice thing too. And that's kind of what I've been doing since this thing started. Napping, eating, discovering what is accessible to you on Disney Plus. It's amazing. And of course, teaching a lot on Zoom and doing some shows on Zoom, thanks to some friends. I think the Bindlestiff Circus, I don't know if everybody's heard of that organization. They do a
Family Circus.
Yes, they do a virtual show every Monday. I got invited to do one of them. I had a really good time. My friend's magic show, and I've actually done some birthday parties on Zoom, entertaining kids, and some private lessons. So Zooming, I've been using this quite a bit.
Yeah. Have you done any magic on TikTok? I see a lot of magicians are putting some tricks on TikTok or teaching tricks on TikTok. Have you gotten?
I don't know what that is. No, I know what TikTok is, and I haven't really. I suppose it wouldn't hurt if I wanted to get myself out there more in the social media world. But like I was joking with Eric, I'm about the VCR and the blinking red light. Right. For me, learning the Zoom stuff, I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot for me. So TikTok, I've not dipped my toe in the water there yet. I suppose I will at some point. I don't know. I'm still young at kids to get off my lawn. And I don't have a lawn. So these kids just look at me like I'm weird, which is fine because I get attention that way. So I haven't really gotten into it much yet. No, I know some friends of mine do. They do. They'll post stuff on TikTok. I have not tried that yet.
Well, good news is somebody in the chat here mentioned earlier that they're attracted to men with big appendixes. So you have a fan here.
Just tell my mom to go back to bed, please.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to move along. Let's talk with Michelle. Michelle, how have you been in the past year? I really enjoyed your story about the spiders. Very touching. Has the pandemic hurt you or helped you come up with stories? Because there's less interaction with people, but obviously the spider story happened during the pandemic. So how has the pandemic been for you creatively as a storyteller?
Can you hear me, Mike? Mike, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, Michelle.
Yes, I can.
I can't start my video. I don't know why.
Yes.
It says I keep getting a note.
Okay, we can hear you.
I can't start my video because the host has stopped it. Oh, now I can start it. Yay!
Hey.
Hooray! I guess I had to like scream a little bit.
Well, no, you were banned, like Facebook.
I
Sorry.
was banned. What did I do? Oh, I must have posted too many cat emojis or something. I guess that was it. Oh my god. So,
Yes.
what was the question, Mike? Oh, have I been creative during the pandemic? Is that what
Well,
you asked?
how has the pandemic either hurt or helped you creatively because there's less social interaction? Have you been able to come up with more stories? Because I know you're a fantastic storyteller. So how is it?
Well, I haven't really come up with a lot of new stories, and the stories that I have come up with, well, actually, we can divide Coño Carajo into last year and this year.
Mhm.
Last year was the total year of suck. It was
Right.
a total year of suck. As soon as the summer started, boom, I broke my ankle. Boom, I got laid off.
Oh.
Boom, I got food poisoning. Boom, my cat got sick. Boom, there was some trouble going on with my family that I had to deal with. And so, boom, there went my savings. And boom, oh, and now I grind my teeth and I broke my 2 back molars. Boom,
Oh,
ah, ka-ching,
Oh,
ka-ching,
boy.
Lord.
ka-ching. And then by that time, it was like November. And I did get a part-time job. Yay! I got a part-time job,
Yay.
but it's only, it's like, 2 days a week. But that's fine. Keeps the jungle from encroaching. And then, 2021 is looking better. The part-time job likes me. So, between that and the UI, I can get by, and I'm not worried because I know whatever's going to happen, it's going to happen, and El Senor will take care of it, or the cats will take care of it, or whatever. But this year I was either lucky or whatever enough that I actually got to do my solo show. I got to do it with Queen's Theater, and I got to do it with Life Stage, and it was a real trip working it on Zoom. Like I had to do backgrounds and everything, and I drew cartoons for them. No, it was really cool. Hold on, look, I will show you. I will show you one of them. Here
Yes,
is,
please. That would be great.
yeah. Here's some of my cartoon backgrounds. Hold on. Yeah. Well, here we go.
It's
Wait,
behind you there.
There it is.
Oh, there we go.
One. That because what I did was like I incorporated traditional Puerto Rican folktales with my personal stories. So there was this one was about a cockroach, because of course, like in the United States, Puerto Ricans try to escape the stereotype of cockroaches, but like they're in our friggin' folktales, like from back in the island. So right? So wait, hold on. There's another one. That's so ironic, right? There's another one called The Squeaky Door. You see the door?
Yes.
There's another one called Juan Bobo and his pig, the Puerco pig. And then this is like my gran abuela, my great grandmother, as a saint. And that's a picture of my grandmother and my great grandmother.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
Is that colorized?
Yeah,
or
I look like them, right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
We all got those same cheekbones and shit, even though whatever. So yeah, so that's those are the backgrounds that I used. And it was really cool to figure that out, and like to try to be like,
Did you freeze? I think
you were doing it. So that was fun. I want to do more. So hopefully that'll be. I did a couple of shows, but it's not the same. You know why? Like, whenever I would get booked to do a show, and I don't know if Leanne or Aladdin or anybody else who's a performer chime in here, I was kind of loath to do new material because I couldn't hear any reaction and I couldn't see any reaction. So I really couldn't tell if something was working. So I was just doing, like, when I got booked for a show, especially if I was booked out of town, I would do stuff that I told here 1,000 times because I figured, well, nobody heard it over there, like in Minneapolis or in LA,
Wow.
But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And soon I feel like it's going to get better. Tonight is making me better.
Good.
Tonight
Good.
is really
That's
making me
the beauty of Word Up, of
And I
knowing
look
Word Up, isn't it?
Yeah, I look forward to doing Super Storyteller party again. You know, I miss my dance break. Boom, shakalaka. Oh, does anybody watch that? Did anybody watch like TV, like actual TV, and they see that Geico commercial with Scoop, laka laka laka,
Yeah.
Scoop? There it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
It's
tag
very
team,
hurtful.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We'll move along. We'll go Aladdin. I know last year we were talking after the show about your filmmaking, and you have a film you were working on. How has your year been, and have you been working on the film? Tell us more about it if you prefer. I know you said you had a premiere or something.
Oop, there it is. Yeah, this past year has been really strange because I was set to actually go to Europe to take my solo show that I developed at the Public Theater, Dishwasher Dreams. I was going to spend the summer going hopefully there to kind of work on it and then bring it back for it was all set to basically be recorded for streaming for Netflix or Hulu. So I was supposed to come back with it ready, and then that just sort of fell apart. Yeah. So then I was thinking about what Michelle said, that George Carlin always said that stand-up comedy is the one art form where you need an audience to develop. Yes. So, you know, this is what I was saying about telling about that story, is that when I was a teenager getting into stand-up, I was learning that we need the open mics are so important in your first development years, because you need the timing, you need to know how to craft the joke, the setup and all that. So it's really important. And also, to be honest, when you're younger, you really need a community, because now that I'm older, you know, mentally, like I know how to deal with it. But when you're younger, it's just really tough. So, you know, I know younger comedians are having a hard time in Zoom, because I've spoken to a few of them. So in Zoom, it's really tough to kind of create comedy, and especially with new material. So I feel like that's been a strange experience. And so I've been spending like the last year, because I've been working a lot as a director. So I spend a lot of my time on Zoom with an editor, and we just go over, you know, reels and reels of film. And it's always strange because I feel like a comedian. So when I, like, you know, I'm working with, you know, executives and people saying, you know, we need this cut, we need that. There's part of me laughing going, I'm a comedian, like directing people how to do stuff. But I feel like the discipline that we have as a stand-up comedian, just knowing how to craft a joke, and I mean, it helps in other areas, because a lot of times, and I'm telling you, like, I'm finishing up grad school in Columbia for writing and directing, and there's so much over intellectualizing that sometimes, like, the most basic thing to cut, like as a comedian, like Paul Muni would always say that when he worked with Richard Pryor, he would say, you know what, your setup is too long, just shut up, just shut up, just shut up. And I feel like when you're a director and the scene is going long, I'm like, why don't we just cut it? And the editor is talking, and then the executive producer is like, well, we just cut it. And I feel like that's the comedian side of my brain, you know? Yes. So sometimes in Zoom, when I'm looking at a clip and I've got an editor over here and a person over here and a cameraman giving me, I feel like the stand-up person to me is like, cut, gotta get to the punchline. So I feel like Zoom has been strange. It's almost like my brain has been present because of this box. Whereas when you're just moving and your body's going to a location, it's different. So it's a little more intense. But I have to tell you, I miss so much. Like, I can tell you, like, the things that I love, because Eric's show was at midnight. I used to love on Saturday nights, or it was Friday nights, just getting on the train. I'm like, I'm gonna go to Eric's thing. It's midnight. Then he have the cookies and stuff, and you're just chilling out. And you meet somebody like Billy Wade or Leanne and be like, yo, let's go to a diner. Next thing you know, it's 4 in the morning. And you realize that, like, wow, you know, I'm 18, 19, 20, 21. And you realize, like, that world, you take it for granted. You miss that.
Yes.
The goal of being successful is, you know, to kind of have your own company. And, you know, as a director, I've dreamed of this. But I have to tell you, in my heart, I miss that circle of, like, hanging out and, you know, even with comedians that struggle. And for to do it in Zoom is just it's a whole different cadence. It's another world.
Yeah.
Definitely is. I know I find being on the computer stuff.
Oh,
Defreeze? I think you
So
froze.
much for working and doing
Oh,
Zoom
fuck.
instead of getting headaches after. Can you hear me okay? Am I back? Hello?
Oh,
Oh,
yes, you are back.
I'm back? Okay, yeah. That's one of the problems of Zoom, right? It's not in real life. You can't freeze as much as you'd like to. You can't freeze. So
I have a question. Is that
Yes.
Oscar the Grouch behind Aladdin?
Oscar, yeah.
Is that Oscar?
Yeah, it is. It is. The audio's off.
I'm doing the project with Sesame Street, so I gotta.
Oh, you
Are
have.
you really?
All right.
Yeah, they're doing
Oh,
the Bangladeshi refugees in Rohingya. They're doing a whole thing for the children there. So I'm directing some stuff that's affiliated with Sesame Street and the refugees over there.
Wow.
You gotta keep it funny. How do you keep tragedy so funny? So it's like that's why they were looking for. It goes back to comedy. They were looking for a director that can make kids laugh, but yet realize that there's this issue there. And once again, that's like another example. Like they're over intellectualizing. I was like, just keep Oscar funny. Just keep Cucamonga. It's so deep, man. Like Leanne knows this because Leanne's a really good writer. Like when they're intellectuals and stuff, you're like, yo, man, the script is not funny. Just make it funny. And it's like, just cut, just make it funny. And that's why like comedians transfer into good showrunners and directors, because we're like, yo, just make it funny. So it's awkward, because these are things you learn in open mics. These are things you learn in the basics of comedy. And when you see, like, for example, like you could go to an open mic and see 20 comics, and you'll be sitting there, and the comics will be like, yo, his setup is too long. His facial expression, like you're getting a university education on stand-up in these open mics, that when you work as a writer-director, you take that skill and you make it applicable to that new form, which is writing and directing.
100% right. Because I do filmmaking as well, and it's all about cutting and getting to the point, which is great. I want to move on to Leanne because I know I have shaky internet connection, so I want to make sure I get to Leanne. I don't want to stall out on her. Leanne Lord. A lot of your material sounds like some of it was very topical because of the past year. You said you were doing a lot of Zoom shows. Have you been able to do anything live, or are you just staying away from that because of the pandemic? Because I only did one show and it wasn't safe. Outdoors.
I want to say that 98% of my shows are virtual.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a club in Jersey, a cabaret in Jersey that for whatever reason, they like me. And so like I did a show there last year, and then I did a Valentine's Day show with them, and it's music and comedy. And they really, they were at 50% because it's in Jersey, and the staff is masked, and they've got the plastic, and I walk in with gloves. Like I feel like Michael Jackson, like it's insane. But I spent my entire career leaving my house to do comedy, and now I'm like, you want me to leave my house to do comedy? Because I like being live from my square.
Yeah.
I enjoy this. I mean, because it's when the shutdown happened, Lee, I spent a lot of time napping. I spent a lot of time napping and crying and going, oh my God, did the industry just retire me? Like, what do I do?
Snapping and crying. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I was like, am I done? Is this how it ends? I mean, it was really, I shouldn't say
Right?
It was very scary. Now it's just kind of scary, because when they still talk about those unemployment numbers, that's largely our industry.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but I want to say that very, very quickly after the shutdown happened, somebody approached me to do a virtual show, and I said yes because I heard the word show. I had no idea what was entailed of it. Like, so I've sort of built this piece by piece. I went from having my laptop on top of a kitchen table, on top of the chair, to, okay, yeah, I got a laptop stand, I got a light ring, I got a green screen, a microphone. And by the time I'm all completely set up, we're going to be all open, and I'm going to be like, no, I'm not leaving.
Just send an iPad.
Right. Just put an iPad on that stage.
I will click on. Good.
And here's the thing, everybody is excited, you know, because they want to open up again. They want to go, you know, back to what life was. And in some ways we will, but there are now communities that realize that they don't necessarily have to go out to get entertainment. You know, there are reasons why they don't go out there. They have compromised immune systems, or they're new parents, or they're older people that don't want to find parking. I mean, there are a number of ways where this can become a viable way to continue to entertain. And I'm glad that I hopped in early, because performing on Zoom is a skill that, you know, I feel like the pandemic set all of us back to the open mic level. No matter how many years experience we had, everybody was back at one.
True.
You know, but with our experience, you know, we will do better. I don't know. I don't even want to say better, but we will have a leg up above young comics just starting. Aladdin, I feel for these kids, because it's like, you know, I thought we started at the worst time to start comedy. No, this is it. This is pretty bad. You know, but people, the rules didn't change, just where we do the work changed, you know, so people will work with people who are working. You know, I did one virtual gig and people like, oh, Leanne's doing it. Okay, Leanne, will you do this show? Yeah, sure, I'll do that show. And then I'll do that show. And then I'll do that. So it snowballed. Now they weren't all paid.
That's where No Name comes in.
Right. Not by a long shot. But if you consider that this was an opportunity to build a skill and transition to a new medium, sure, why not? Why wouldn't I do that? Because at some point, somebody's going to be charging people to teach them how to do Zoom shows.
Yeah, eventually.
Okay. But I've been, I don't know if I've been lucky or I've just continued to be the hard worker I always was. And maybe it's a nice combination.
I think so.
But I think the biggest thing for me is that my Dry Bar comedy special came out this year.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't know what Dry Bar comedy is, it's like having an HBO comedy special, except it's free. You get to see it for free. And their brand, the Dry Bar brand, is clean comedy. And so it's the kind of show that you can watch and not have a clutch the pearls moment. And I taped it back in November 2019, you know, when the world was kind of still normal. You know, and so I realize now that I have to tell people, it's like, because they'll watch it and they'll get scared. It's like, the audience is full. It's no social distancing. Nobody's wearing a mask. And I'm like, yes, it was in the before times. Everybody. Yes. So I recorded it in 2019. 2020 happened. That was an entire decade. So I did this special 11 years ago. Everybody. And I'm really glad that it came out, that it took them so long to edit it, and you know, everything was slowed down. I'm really glad it came out in 2021, because 2021, it still remains to be seen. It's still young in the year, but I don't know, it just feels more hopeful.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's maybe part of it is that it's nice to have a grown-up in charge.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know, insurrection notwithstanding.
Yeah.
You know, 71 million people with a mental illness notwithstanding. I feel in a slightly better place. And so having that come out this year felt really validating and good, and maybe more things hopefully to look for, because hopefully, you know, we'll if we can open up movie theaters and restaurants at 50% capacity in New York City, maybe we can get to comedy clubs
and the theaters.
Theaters, yeah.
For real.
And what was that, Michelle? I missed it.
Theaters.
God, I miss Broadway. I miss Broadway so much.
I know.
Yeah, I do. I do miss it all. Like, I never thought, I used to complain about having to do the hangout thing at clubs. Now, man, once everything gets listed, I'm never gonna be home.
Now Leanne's gonna just start showing up at shows, not even performing, just hanging out.
Just hang out.
Right. Yep. And be happy to do it.
Yep.
But and Aladdin alluded to this. The difference, though, is that we're not 20.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where I got that energy because I don't have it now. Like I get tired working in my house.
I want to open it up to everybody now, and even Richard and Alex can hop on, and Eric, and just have a full discussion about memories with No Name. Even Stephanie or who, any Carolina, whoever's helping out, because it's all about Word Up, and make sure you donate to the GoFundMe, because we're losing a lot of places in New York and around the country even. But Word Up is, I'm not sure which one of you guys said it, but the fact that you can go to No Name, it's like a little oasis in the comedy world, the entertainment world. Even though the parking is hardly in, which I understand, sometimes the train ride is long. It's such a pleasure to get there because it does feel like community and everybody. There's not a lot of positivity in comedy, because the art of comedy is talking about things that make you upset, but it's cathartic. But it's good to have a nice community warm feeling, and that's what Eric does at No Name, and that's what the bookstore Word Up does. So donate.
Can I? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No,
I don't want to interrupt the sales pitch.
No. I know somebody had put a question.
What I want to say is,
yeah.
Okay, wait. I just want to say one thing, if I could. You're talking about donating to Word Up, and yes, by all means.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
Donate, support. They're doing amazing things here. But I also want to say I take it as a point of pride. A number of places have not made it even this far through the pandemic. The Pitt Theater shut down. A lot of places have not. The three main places that we do shows at regularly are still with us. Word Up Bookshop, Otto Shrunken Head, and QED in Astoria. And I just want to tip of the cap to them if I was wearing a cap, because it is not easy, and they've been kicking ass, smoke and mirrors, whatever had been needed to still be there. And it's just my fervent wish that as many of these venues that can stay open, so they're there when we get back. But definitely lots of love for all the people who work so hard, all the volunteers at Word Up, and the staffs at Otto's and Cambry Cruise and QED. You're all amazing people doing amazing things, and we thank you for fighting the fight. So I just wanted to say that.
Absolutely. I know somebody very early on put in the question, and whoever wants to hop in and take it, the question was, what's a favorite memory in your 27 years? So if anybody has a particular favorite memory, Lee has his hand up, so we'll go with Lee first, but please, anybody, if you have a memory, please feel free to share it.
At my age, I don't have a whole lot of memories left, but spending time with Eric, it's never dull, never boring. Otto Shrunken Head, I went there one night, we were doing a show, I go walk to the back room, and there is water nowhere else in the bar, but in the back room, water is coming down from the ceilings, just coming down in like a river of just a.
I was there that night.
That was such a crazy night.
Oh
my God!
And Eric's like, it's okay. I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's like, no, it's okay. We'll take care of this. Like, Eric, water's coming down. Are you canceling? No, we're not canceling the show. This will be okay. I'm like, Eric, it's not going to be okay. Look at the water coming down. It's not just like it's from the ceiling. It's coming down from the ceiling. He's like, no. It'll stop soon. It'll be okay. 20 minutes later,
buckets everywhere.
Well, most of the water stopped. I don't know what you guys did about the electricity for the instruments, but nobody died. And there was just one bucket in the center of the room where the water was coming down, and that was it. And that kept going throughout the rest of the show. But the rest of the water, I guess, ran out, or they turned something off that Eric knew they were going to turn off. Maybe this had happened before. I don't know. Eric never told me. But he was so confident we were going to get through this and do the show, and we did. And we had an audience. We actually had a pretty good crowd. I remember that. The band played. Eric sang.
Of course I wasn't there that night.
And
Oh man, that was.
I remember
We were like duct taping
I
the
remember
ceiling.
a joke about, hey, welcome to the water park, you know, and you know, I was agog because I kept telling Eric, this isn't going to happen. It's not going to be a show because this is water. This is water coming out of the ceiling onto the ground in buckets. It was raining in the back room, and Eric was like, no, it'll happen, and we did.
Well, you know,
that's my favorite memory of it.
You know, I can't take credit for knowing that it was going to be okay. Management had said to me that they had done something and that it was mostly going to stop. There was something that was shut off, and they're like,
it was like, oh, it's mostly going to stop. And Eric's like, no, we're going to be fine. We're going to do a show. No worries. No worries. That was the response. And I was like, are you drunk? He's like, no, be fine. We'll do a show.
Yeah.
Still happened. He still did a show.
But Lee, you also remember, I know you were part of, you know, one of a comic who did our show a lot over the years, Bruce Cherry, used to have a joke about Otto's shrunken head, you know, because of the decor and all the stuff that was hanging from the walls, whatever it is, that used to refer to it as New York City's most flammable bar. And he had to stop doing that joke after there was a fire at Otto's.
Oh my God, I remember.
It happened like 2 months. Because that happened just not long after the water problem.
Right, exactly.
Because that was a bathroom upstairs that had been leaking.
Yes.
Somebody's apartment bathroom had been leaking upstairs, and that's what that was. And I remember like they had been like duct taping the holes in the ceiling.
Let me get this straight.
Until
One night,
the water came through the duct tape.
Another show, fire's coming from the ceiling, and Eric's like, no problem, we'll do a show. No problem.
Yeah.
It's just the basic elements of our thing right now. It's fine.
It was like the plague. We were waiting for the frog and the locust to come next. You know?
Well, that's why I'm sure that Otto's is going to
Don't talk it up, Michelle, because there's a big ass beetle in here I'm trying to do battle with, and my cat has abandoned me.
We're trying to get on that.
You need Charlotte on that one.
He's not that kind of cat. Like he saw it and then he broke out, and I'm like, "What are you looking at?" Oh fuck!
You're on your own.
So yeah, I looked and I got it. I don't know.
Go.
I got this. Let's see.
What?
You'll get it.
Oh, you're kidding.
She'll get it, man. She'll rip that bugger.
Yeah.
See, yeah, I
My
got a
cat's
suburban cat. He's
So
too.
that's
He's
that.
too ditty.
I have many memories of working with Eric where strange things happen. People locked in bathrooms, strange people wandering up, women coming to see the show who were scared because there were only 2 people there, was me and Eric, and then we're pretty scary, you know. But my favorite memory will always be the water coming out of the ceiling, and Eric's like, no, we're doing a show. That's my favorite memory.
I leave. You were there. The other one, and the corollary to that. Now, after Otto's had the fire, they arranged for us to do a couple of shows around the corner at another venue that did not last long after that. So maybe that was on us. But
it was on us, Eric. How many places has No Name shut down and moved on from?
I've lost count.
Theater, they tore it down to get rid of us. Okay.
Mo Pickens is no more, right?
Yeah.
Mo Pickens.
I know
is
Mo
gone.
Pickens.
I don't know what
back
Mo
then.
Pickens. Eric was like, we're never going back. Why, Eric? I can't tell you. We're never going back. Mo Pickens is gone now.
They weren't content. They weren't content to just get rid of us. They had to make sure, rip the whole thing down.
They had to salt the earth. That's what they had to do. But Eric, are you talking about that venue where we went there and there was a big gate closed? It was all locked up.
That's what I'm talking about. That was the place that, or the show that got fired out of Otto's was scheduled for a place around the corner.
We all get there.
Was locked.
Gate. All locked.
Was locked until about 5 minutes prior to showtime.
Like, no worries, there's going to be a show. And I'm like, Eric, they've locked it. The doors are locked. We'll do a show. Don't worry about it. Total confidence somebody was going to show up and unlock that gate.
Do you remember? I think we were all there. I said it last year at the anniversary show. We did the Eskimo Club. Do you remember that?
Oh, the Elks. Oh,
Yeah,
no,
the
the
Elks.
Moose Lodge.
The Elks
The Moose Lodge.
Elks
And you-
Lodge. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you remember, rest in peace, our brother Joe Roca. He
Oh,
said to you,
Rocha.
he said, I gotta go on. I can't do a long set.
Oh,
I can't do a long
yeah.
set.
Let me on this because this is my
This is a great
favorite
story.
Rocha story. Rocha. Now we didn't have a lot of paid gigs, okay? And we were doing a fundraiser for them. We did it like 3-4 years in a row. This is well over a decade ago. And so it's like, and I got the money and I made sure everyone got their check in advance, whatever, so we don't catch each other after the show or whatever. And Joe Rocha had done our show the previous year, and they specifically requested him back. They requested a few people, and he was one, and they loved him. So I made him the headliner that night since they specifically requested him. And it's a long show. They took 2 breaks in the middle of the show to serve drinks because Moose Lodge people don't show up drunk enough already. And they're on the last break. The only person left to come out is Rocha, the headliner. He's gonna wrap it up. He's scheduled to do at least 20 to 25 minutes. And just as we're about to start again, he says, "Look, man, I got a spot at the comic strip. I can only do maybe like 5 minutes." No, actually, he first said he wasn't sure if he could even stay to do it. And he said, "All right, I'll try to do maybe 10 minutes." Like, no, you don't understand. You're the headliner. You got the money. Well, I'll do the best I can. Now, Rocha got out, and this room full of jovial but very lubricated Moose Lodge people, they're chatty. And Rocha goes out, and and by the way, I have to remind you too that there had been a huge snowstorm the day before. Yeah. So we're out in the middle of Queens, and he has to get to the Upper East Side, and it's a bus and 2 trains at least, and all of this with feet of snow outside. Rocha hits the stage, and somebody said something to someone from the audience called out, and Rocha just responded, completely shut the guy up and got a huge laugh. He proceeded, therefore, to do 35 minutes plus, not one stitch of material the entire time, just riffing with the audience, nonstop. It's one of the most hilarious performances I've ever seen in my life, entirely off the cuff. After the show was over, I pulled him aside and said, "Joe, I thought you had to leave to get that spot at the comic strip." I said, "Yeah, but I was having fun." And that's Joe Rocha right there. And would that we all have that sort of passion and love in doing what we do. Yep. That's an amazing gift to have, and I will forever remember Joe with that. So let me ask you this.
I know, Eric, we're going to have Alex interrupt. I know we have Alex still doing a song. We're almost.
That's what I was going to say.
Do you want me to turn it over to you? Does anybody else have a story, or should we go to the song? Eric, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you, everybody, for your stories and for your tales in the past year. I'm confident things will get better soon. I look forward to back at No Name soon. Eric, thank you for letting me moderate this.
Thank you.
I know my internet's shaky, so I'll give it to Eric. I'll give it to Eric. My internet's shaky. Take it away.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much,
Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
My pleasure.
Well, listen, we've carried on the No Name tradition of starting way too late. At least this time I can blame it on some technical difficulties with the internet and my general incompetence with that. But before we go off into that good night, there's a few things we have to do. First of all, I want to let you know that we are planning to have a Michelle Carlo hosted No Name Super Story Party sometime in April. We're working out the details right now, but keep posted, keep tabs on us. We're going to have that happening. That's one thing. Secondly, I want to thank Carolina and Word Up and all the folks there for indulging us tonight and letting us have some sort of vehicle to celebrate our 27th anniversary. I want to give a shout out to PR guy Gordon, who actually was working on this event. And if 5 people were watching us tonight, all 6 of them are there because of Gordon, PR guy Gordon. And I want to thank, special thank you to longtime No Name supporters, Caroline and Natasha. They sent me the tripod to set up my phone so that I wouldn't be holding my phone all night. And one day I'll figure out how to work it properly, but thank you guys for that. And lastly, before turning it over to Alex to finish us out, I want to thank Mike Scroy for moderating. I want to thank our guests, Lee Allen Barrett, Michelle Carlo, Alaudin Eula, Leanne Lord. And I'd like to thank Binder Suze for doing the day-night version of a No Name show. Richard Binder, thank you for opening us up with a song. And now to close us out, the one, the only, we can't wait to get her back behind the drum kit. That sounds kind of nasty. We can't wait to get Alex back behind the drum kit for tonight. Thank you so much. The wonderful, our good friend, the assassin, Alex DeSuze.
Oh, there we go. Oh my God, I heard the assassin. It's been so long. So I had another song in mind, but then when Aladdin brought up Common Basis Theater, it also made me think of Collective Unconscious and doing a show there with Eric at Collective Unconscious. And and one of the first things I did at Common Basis and at Collective Unconscious was I had a bit where I talked about being a dateless wonder for a really long time. And there was this, I remember in, God, was it high school? I think it was high school or college. I found this cassette. I went to the local record store chain in Boston called Strawberries. And I went to Strawberries and I went to their, like $2 bin. And I found this cassette of George Gershwin songs and various people doing them. And there was a version of Embraceable You sung by Sarah Vaughan that I swore if I could learn it properly, I could get any man that I ever wanted. I like to believe it did help with my husband. So, my son, everybody, who's been waiting until I'm unmuted. So, not right now. Okay. Hang on. Sorry. Oh, got a couple people going, hi, Ben. I actually have to mute for By the way, the new DuckTales, the one that was started, the reboot with David Tennant as Scrooge McDuck is really awesome. And but now I'm gonna sing this my interpretation of Sarah Vaughan's interpretation of Embraceable You. Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. Embrace me, You're up. Sorry. Of course, my son's got to get in on this. Pardon me a moment.
Oh, man.
Live theater, ladies and gentlemen. Zoom theater.
Now it's a no-name show.
Now it's totally a no-name show. Allow me to start over. Embrace me, my sweet embrace blue. Embrace me, you're a place blue. Just wanna look at you. My heart grows tipsy in me. You and you alone bring out the gypsy in me. I love the many charms about you. Above all, I want my arms about you. Don't be a naughty baby. Come to mama. Come to mama, do. My sweet embrace of you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Word Up.
Alex D'Souza, man. Alex, would you like to do an encore? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just glad we got through that. I'm glad we got through the evening. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I remember that night. That was a special moment. So thanks to everyone. And especially thank you to anyone who stuck through this entire thing. There's a Medal of Valor waiting for you somewhere in a future No Name show. Thank you for hanging with us as we fumbled our way through our first ever Zoom show. Much was learned. And that's it. Thank you so much for supporting us for 27 years. We hope to see you again soon. Know that we love you and we miss you. And we can't wait to be together in the same room again. Until then, take care of yourselves. Know that we love you. Good night.